Atlanta News First Plus starts now with First Alert Weather.
Guys, it is one day until July 4th. Are you feeling patriotic? Are you feeling like you love America? Are you feeling like the weather's going to be great? The weather is going to be great. You're going to love Georgia, regardless, tomorrow. Oof, so nice. I do want to start you out with a zoomed out view. We're going to talk about the Peachtree Road Race. We're going to talk about our weather here. We're going to talk about the weather tomorrow across the country. Weather doesn't look so great for our sweet friends down to our south. Florida's going to get a lot of rain over the coming days, and so is the coastline. We are really lucking out because Georgia coastline, South Carolina coastline, North Carolina coastline going to get a lot of rain from this potential tropical system. You can see a lot of rain right around the Gulf Stream. That's due to a low that may become tropical in the coming 7 days. So let's talk about it. All right. It's really dry here right now. And really nice outside, my goodness. We're going to hit the low 90s today, very similar to yesterday. But for early July, the humidity is not bad, y'all. It is not bad. Dew points are going to be in the low 60s each afternoon. Some models are even predicting the upper 50s. That's more like late September humidity, okay? Late summer, early summer humidity, not middle of summer, July humidity. So even though it will be hot through the weekend, that dry air will keep things feeling not too bad. I do not expect any heat advisories. I do not expect it to be dangerously hot outside, even though we push the mid-90s tomorrow. Not too hot. Here are your high temperatures. Only the extreme northeast Georgia mountains, areas above 2,500 feet, stay in the 80s. Everywhere else hits the 90s. And some areas could hit the mid-90s tomorrow. But the heat risk, like I said, even with the mid-90s, is not bad. The only areas that this graphic is predicting, this is the National Weather Service's model output, heat risk is over near Stone Mountain. So if you live in DeKalb County, the heat risk is going to be pretty high today. And then also up towards Lake Lanier, heat risk pretty high up in Hall County. You can see as soon as you start getting to the foothills and in the mountains, you start gaining elevation, that heat risk goes way down. But look at the big, and the country as a whole is not going to see a big heat risk outside of the, Chicago to Minneapolis, the northernmost latitudes, pretty incredible. They got a big high pressure there, so they're going to see highs in the mid-90s tomorrow. Here's the way it's looking across the region. Pretty nice, honestly, across most of the country. Jacksonville going to see some rain. Dallas, Oklahoma City, Midwest going to see some rain. But the vast majority of areas east of the Mississippi are going to be real nice outside of Florida. Okay, so we got that low, basically the cold front that came through that's bringing the really dry air and the nice weather to us here in Georgia is stalling out to our south. And whenever you get a cold front and a low pressure system that stalls anywhere along the Gulf or in the Atlantic, this time of year, the ocean water's warm enough, you get those things mixing together, you get instability and lift from the low pressures in the cold front, and you get the warm ocean water. That is 2 of the 4 ingredients you need for tropical formation. You need light winds at upper levels, so if that plays into it, bam, you pretty much automatically have some risk of a tropical system. We have had one named system so far this year, so we are in name B, which I should be able to look up what that is. I should actually know, but I don't. Let's look it up. What are the hurricane names? Barry. Whoever comes up with these. So we had Andrea already. Next one's going to be Barry, and then Chantal. Ooh, and then Dexter. Okay, so here is the region that the National Hurricane Center is watching. That little X is where the low actually is, and the area in orange you see is where the system's going to head. 60% chance development. That's up from 50 earlier today. So National Hurricane Center is upping that risk of development. So they're thinking that there's likely to be a tropical depression or a tropical storm in this region in the next 7 days. Here's the impact. Here's the rain throughout the weekend. We're dodging a bullet. We stay completely dry. We're not going to see any impacts from this system. But Savannah, Hilton Head, Charleston, Myrtle Beach going to get a lot of rain. Florida's going to get absolutely soaked. It does look like Panama City and Destin, which are frequent frequently visited by Metro Atlantans, those areas are going to stay mostly far enough to the west to not be impacted by this low. But again, it's going to bring a lot of rain. Look at all that rain out in the ocean overnight tonight. Now, here's the thing. We've added a 20% chance of showers tomorrow to the forecast. Me and Rodney and Courtney at like 4 in the morning this morning were arguing over whether or not to add that 20% because we really wanted to keep it completely dry. But here's the reason we added it. We're seeing 1 or 2 showers. Some of that remnant moisture from that low may try to make it into Georgia before the low moves away from us. So you may see a brief passing shower, 1 over towards Lake Lanier, 1 to Athens, 1 to Noonan. And this is going to be between about 4 to 8 p.m. You can see some shower activity over towards Carrollton as well, West Point, Lake Heard County tomorrow. Any rain that does fall will be 1, brief, 20, 30 minutes at most. 2, non-severe. We're not going to see any strong storms, okay? So you really don't need to change your plans. If anything, only a few rumbles of thunder. It'll last, again, less than a half hour. Sun will come right back out. Not going to be a big deal, but there is a 20% chance of showers. And this is the area I think will have the highest chance of showers from Atlanta, really along I-85. So from Gainesville to Atlanta, down to LaGrange, but also including I-20, Carrollton to Franklin as well. North Georgia, I think you're going to stay dry. Mountains, I think you're going to stay dry tomorrow, okay? Fireworks forecast looking quite nice. Again, maybe a stray shower around 6 p.m., still in the 90s. 86 at 8 p.m. The sun will set. You know what? Let's look at I'm going to guess 8:50. 8:50. What do you guys think? Sunset time tomorrow. 8:52. Wow, it's 2 minutes off. 8:52, gosh, almost 9 p.m. So if you're going to light off fireworks, 1, do it safely. 2, do it after 9 p.m. That's when the sun will set, okay? Head to the lake this weekend, guys. I am too. I'm going to Lake Lanier tomorrow. I'm super excited about it. Georgia lakes are so great in the summer. Have you guys ever been to Lake Burton and Lake Raven? They're like the most gorgeous parts of our state. I'm not kidding. Blue Ridge Lake going to be great this weekend. Lake Allatoona, West Point Lake, completely dry. I do want to note, on Sunday, the easternmost lakes, so Hartwell, Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair, could see a little bit of rain in the evening, okay? Could even see some moderate rain in the evening. But the vast majority of the weekend will be dry, okay? And I also looked up lake temperatures. A few weeks ago, it was still quite cool, but we've had quite a bit of heat in the last couple weeks. So now the lake temperatures are all sitting right around 80 to 85 degrees. I know that sounds warm. That doesn't actually feel warm when you jump in. Bathwater is like 95 degrees. So it's comfortable. That's like perfect swimming temperature water. It will cool you off. You'll feel refreshed. It's not freezing. If you want to go to a swim in the morning when the sun sets, if you're a good swimmer, get out there. It's going to feel fantastic. Just really exciting. Okay, let's talk about the precipitable water. Say that 6 times fast. PWATS is what we like to call it in the meteorological world. The greens and reds, wow. Greens and blues, that is, well, first of all, let me explain what precipitable water is. If you took an entire column of the atmosphere from the ground all the way up to 30,000 feet and condensed it, smushed it, okay? It would be how much water do you get out of that column of air? So when we see over 1.5 inches of water to 2 inches, especially over 2 inches, that's when we know that there's a lot of saturation in the atmosphere. That's when you're really likely to get storms. The green is over 1 inch of water in the atmosphere. The blue is over 2 inches of water. So the blue is very saturated, very moist atmosphere. If you're seeing the tans, that is less than 1 inch of water. That means it's pretty dry. We usually, this time of year, do not see the tans. We have a lot of moisture in the air because it's really hot. Hotter air can hold more moisture, okay? But look at this. It stays relatively dry through Saturday night. Pretty dang dry, all in all. Now, look off of the coast of Charleston. You see the blue. That is the potential tropical system. But you see that right to the west of that system in the Raleigh, you see that really light area? That's called subsidence, which is sinking air, which we see very frequently on the western side of these tropical systems. Just outside the really heavy moisture, we get subsidence or sinking air, which brings really dry air in. You can see that dry slot working its way down into metro Atlanta. And that's the reason I think we're going to stay dry through the first half of the weekend is subsidence from the tropical system. So the tropical system is actually aiding and keeping us dry first half of the weekend. By Sunday, we start to see a little bit more moisture. That's why I'm thinking we could see a return of a few showers. But generally, it's not until next week that we start to get the greens back in. Tuesday afternoon, the humidity returns. By Wednesday, we're seeing some showers. By Thursday, we're probably going to see rain. So we are going to enter back into that wetter pattern next week. So you got to enjoy this, guys. I looked this up. We haven't had 6 dry days in a row since April. So it was dry yesterday. If it stays dry through Tuesday, this will be the longest stretch of weather without rain that we've had in over 2 months. You gotta enjoy it. It will not last. This is the rain outlook for the middle of the month, July 10th through 17th, which is next weekend into the weekend thereafter. You can see that above average rainfall is likely to return to the Tennessee Valley and to the southeast. Not really above average, but still above average. And I want to remind you guys that July is our wettest month. So when we're seeing slightly above average rainfall potential in July, you know it's probably going to get wet again. And that will be by the end of next week. So you got to take advantage of this beautiful weather. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't get better. It is going to be hot, especially next Monday, Tuesday as that humidity returns. We may see some heat advisories, but through the weekend, I don't expect anything in terms of dangerous heat. Only a few showers tomorrow, only a few showers on Sunday. There you go. I'm just full of good news today, okay? All right, y'all. I will see you bright and early tomorrow. If you're running the Peachtree Road Race, enjoy it. Hydrate. Good for you. Hope you get to eat a burger, big old burger and fries thereafter. I'm going to be eating a big old burger and fries, and I'm not working out tomorrow or running the Peachtree Road Race. So I will be here bright and early, 6 to 10 a.m. I will see you guys then. Atlanta News First. Have a good day.
Stay up to date on your latest weather from the largest team of meteorologists in the Southeast. Download the First Alert Weather app for hour-by-hour forecasts and join us every weekday at 11:30 a.m. on ANF+. You can also text WEATHER to the number on your screen, and we'll send a link directly to your cell phone.